welcome to Build Series Sydney. I'm Kate Peck, and today on the couch we have a man of the big and small screen who knows his way around a guitar. Please make welcome our very special guest, Joel Jackson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Aussie actor, my friend. Welcome to Build, first up.
Thanks
I know
for
you're a
having
big
me.
fan.
I'm a big fan. Yeah, I remember seeing the New York and the London kind of series and being a massive fan and got the kind of the call up and was like, oh, hey.
Oh, special.
Hey guys, how you going?
times.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
We'll send you off to New York or London
Yeah,
next time. We'll
yeah.
see how this goes, actually.
Oh, good trial run.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah. So acting. Let's start with acting.
Yeah.
So you started in northern WA.
Yes, so raised up in northwestern Australia and kind of did like a little bit of community theatre stuff there, very early days, but had no idea that I wanted to become an actor, and came home after a year away in Brazil as a student exchange, and my mum was kind of just sick of me hanging around and having no purpose.
You loser.
Yeah.
Get out of here, you loser.
Get out of here, mud. Not like mum speaks much clearer than that. And so she suggested while I was in Perth recording an EP to go down and audition for Whopper and Nida. So she picked my monologues. I learnt them, walked in, had no idea what the stories were, or so doing this, the Scottish play, tomorrow and tomorrow, creeps on this petty pace from day to day. It's like, what do you think the guy's thinking about? I'm like, no idea, but I guess he's full of regret. So, and then it just kind of snowballed, and they saw this young kid who was just willing to throw himself into it, I think, and not be afraid of making a fool of himself, and somehow I got in.
So you didn't have any experience before then?
Not really, no.
That's
I'd never read a
amazing.
play. I'd done like a little bit of community theatre stuff.
Yeah.
To keep me out of trouble.
I mean, to get into NIDA is really hard.
Oh yeah, like everyone called me Karatha for like the first year to remind me of what I was up against. And people had started theatre companies and had been producing their own shows. So you definitely walked in with the weight of the world on your shoulders and knowing that you had something to prove, and I felt like I had something to prove. And so I just worked and almost treated it like being a monk and fell in love with it.
So was it kind of terrifying moving from, were you very, very keen to kind of get out of WA, move and really start something? Did you know where you wanted to go?
I think in hindsight, it's interesting because you go, I don't know if I was looking to leave. Like I just think it was like, oh, okay, cool, well, this is happening. Let's do that. And that's kind of the way that my life's panned out. But it wasn't at all scary because I'd lived in Brazil in a much bigger city for a year and travelled a lot. So it was more or less just coming to face with all the other faces of the cultures of Australia. Because where we grew up, there was like a Chinese restaurant and an Indian restaurant and Eagle Boys. And that was like, that was it.
That was gourmet. Eagle Boys, gourmet.
If you put pineapple on top.
Oh, primo.
So that was hard. No, I'm not kidding.
Okay.
No, you know what I mean?
Like you're joking.
No.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to be confronted with your own ignorance.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, wow, I've got a lot of learning to do and a lot of either looking at myself in the mirror and going, well, do you believe that kind of thing? Or are you open to that? Or so it's been like that was the toughest part.
And that tattoo...
Yes.
Was that when you went and did your first big trip?
Yeah, when I was living in Brazil as a 17-year-old exchange student.
Oh, all the good tattoos come before 18.
All the great tattoos. Yeah, no, so I had to kind of wear a long sleeve shirt for the next 5 months. It's really hot, Joel. I know. Because you weren't allowed to get, tattoos or anything. So I remember coming home.
Why not?
Oh, because you're an exchange student. It was like you were supposed to be good. You were supposed to be all like, I was good in every other way. Like, don't. But no, so it was doing that. And then I remember like walking to the airport in Karatha and giving Mum a massive hug and putting my arms out. She's like, oh my God, what is that? So no. But there's a couple of others now that I've added which are much kind of subtler and nicer in taste.
Mum approves.
Yeah, Mum approves of those.
Okay. She didn't draw them and give them to you and sent you off.
This is my name. You can do that one.
And so NIDA, life after NIDA happened really quickly.
Quite quickly.
Yeah, so you got Deadline Gallipoli like pretty much a year on.
Yeah, and same thing, Mum and Dad. Mum's very instrumental in my career, which is hilarious. I was home working the mine sites as a trades assistant, and I got a self-test request for a tiny role of a doctor, looking at people to see if they had the clap with a wooden spatula. And and we didn't have like a camera tripod, so we used all these old lobster kind of catchment trays and things like that, and a couple of tea towels, and Dad was doing the focusing, and every time he pressed the button, he'd be like, "All right, Rennie." Next to camera, like, dude, you've got to stop doing that. Because the start of the scene,
big exhale.
they're going to be like, "Is he outside? It sounds windy and like humid." And then my mum read the scene, so that kind of, and she's asking me if she should sound like an 18-year-old, and you're like, just read the lines, man. So we did that. 3 months goes by. I come back working as a landscaper at UNSW and get the call up to come in for a couple of other roles, and basically they just kept looking at me for different things, and I went through about 7 characters until they said, "We'd love to see you for Charles Bean."
Wow.
Yeah, and then you're in a room with Sam Worthington and Penny Chapman and some of the best, some of my favourite writers in Australia, and having to kind of prove your mettle. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's what I mean. It's just gone. And I've never once been like, I want to be there. It's just
Happened, flowed.
it's just led there, and it's like I'm working, but yeah, there's not a lot of I don't think we have the space to kind of plan things in our career, which is a bit hard.
Yeah, it's not a normal trajectory.
No way. No.
And so working with those people like Sam Worthington, and it's intimidating. Did you find that, or were they really just kind and welcoming?
Well, there's the thing of them being kind and welcoming, but you're still looking at them going, "Oh my God," just falling into your chair. And at all, you're like, "Oh my God," talking about Mindhunters before we rolled, but she was a big part. Rachel Griffiths, Jess DeGow, Charles Dance. Became really close friends with Charles Dance, which is strange. Text him and go like, "Hey man, I'm in England." He's like, "Oh, come around,"
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really, so that's the thing. Like, these people have turned into mentors, and they saw that you weren't afraid to throw yourself into the deep end. Brian Brown, it was you ran the gauntlet. Like, I'm very lucky.
Because you had an experience with Brian, didn't you?
Yeah.
Go on.
It was like, you're a young guy. I was 20. I turned 22 on set. And I'm playing a 35-year-old. Thanks, Dad, for the widow speak. And no, that actually comes from your mum's side of the family, doesn't it?
Mum, she's responsible for way too much.
Isn't she great? But yeah, Brian Brown I always had to stop him on the staircase and kind of pull him up and physically stop him. My character had to assert kind of dominance in the scene. And you're staring at him going, "That's Brian Brown," And I was like 80 kilos at the time, lost a heap of weight. I was like just a diminutive kind of guy. And it wasn't working. Director was going to like cut the sequence. And Brian basically walked up to me before we rolled again and was like, "Look, I am going to walk straight through you unless you stop me." You're like, "Okay, I've got glasses on." You're like, "Yes, Mr. Brian." But it was the best thing that anyone could have ever done. And it makes you realise that you actually you've got a job to do on set that isn't just saying your lines. It's the play of this stuff. And also that people are there to support you. And no matter what their stature is or who they are, you have to do your job. And it's the longer I've been in this game, the better I've gotten at that. But working with Daniel Radcliff, and you're just kind of going, "You're a wizard, Harry." Sorry.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Like, what's my line?
How do you look at it any other way?
Yeah, totally.
And Jungle, so that was with Daniel.
That was with Daniel, yeah.
That looked immense.
It was pretty
Slightly
crazy.
terrifying.
Very
based
terrifying.
on a true story.
Based on a true story, 1986, 3 friends find a crazy German guy to take them into the Bolivian Amazon to find one of the last kind of untouched tribes. And it all goes pear-shaped.
And he, like your characters together, he lost so much weight for that as well. He just looked ruined.
It was insane. And he's got, unfortunately for me, I'm like 6'3". So when I lost a heap of weight and you stand next to him, you still look like a giant. It's like, damn it. But he really fell into that, and we were really proud of him for doing that. I think it was necessary for the film and to get the scale of what this guy went through mentally. But again, you can't help yourself. You're walking through the bush because you literally in the jungle. We shot in Colombia, and we're walking onto set, either walking or we're getting like monkeys. Can't ride a monkey. We're getting donkeys. It ended the same. We're riding donkeys into set because the mud's knee high.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're crossing rapids and doing crazy things and untouched by wires running down rapids on this raft that they made 2 days ago, and you're shooting a scene and
so hectically dangerous.
Hectic stuff. And all while malnourished and not eating and kind of
sounds like Survivor.
It was great. Oh yeah. There wasn't anyone you could turn around and be like, no.
The tribe has spoken.
The tribe has spoken. Go away. But no, you're still walking around behind him, kind of like finding a twig and being like, "Daniel, I think I found mine." I'm a
Cast me
wizard.
out of here,
I'm a
please.
wizard, Harry. Like, shut up.
So what was he like? Was he a good dude?
He is sincerely. A lot of people ask me this, and he is sincerely the nicest, most generous, intelligent person I think I've ever met. And I'm not just and I mean that. Like when I was at school with Nida, like you just read all the great kind of classic books and philosophy, and because he was on set for so long as a kid growing up, but they had to have tutoring there. He was getting tutored by guys at Oxford and stuff like this. So his knowledge and classical knowledge is insane, but he's a very empathetic human being. And, we drive into villages that no one knew we were shooting in. At 4 o'clock in the morning, we'd be pulling into hotels to sleep for 2 hours before shooting again. And there'd be kids that would be wearing like the rug from home on their back as a cape, and their dad's glasses and holding like a stick, kind of waiting to see Harry. And he would go over and say hello. And it's like, it was amazing to see him so unaffected. He's a beautiful man.
Because, child actors don't always turn out so good, do they?
I don't know. He's probably my first ever child actor that I know.
But you do see them going to rehab, and it becomes complicated.
True, this much is
so
true.
he has, and his fame transcends.
Yeah, and now he's producing, and he wants to, and his theatre stuff is incredible. Like, he's not a singer and a dancer, but he did a Broadway show. Like, he's just
overachiever.
Oh, it's like, dude, come away.
And so, filming, because I feel like actors are often asked to do things that are uncomfortable for them, obviously, and might put them at risk. Did that happen throughout Jungle? Like, were there dangerous moments?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you almost die?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, there was a point where we're doing the rapid sequence, and it hadn't been raining in Colombia for a while, and that was good for us because water levels were controllable, because it's all, imagine rapids come from mountains that flow down and then become rivers and streams. But then we had like 5 days straight rain. And one of the stunties is kind of like looking out the window, like, a bit rainy. You're like, yeah. So this is effect like, yeah, very well. Oh, yeah, indeed. And you are asking, like, does that change the order of the scenes now because we've got the rapid sequence in 4 days? He's like, no, we're good. And you get there and the rapids have risen, like 1.5 meters, and everything's way more uncontrollable, and there's silt and trees as big as someone's like thigh racing down the thing, and you've kind of got to go, well, we're in there and we've got to tell the story. But as much as and as unsafe as those things sound, we're getting to something that's uncontrolled, untethered. We had very close calls, and you're not like screwed on or to anything, and the stunties are going, hey, look, if Daniel falls in the ocean, like if he goes in, you've got to get him. Because they know that I had like bronze medallion, and you're an Aussie and you can swim really well and stuff. And you're like,
seems legit, right?
You're like, but my mum would. Yeah, I seem legit. You can swim, right? Yeah. But, there is a moment where you're kind of going, we're making a movie, right? But in essence, those things fuel performances. And I look at The Revenant. Look at those things and you watch it, and it's unforgettable cinema. And those things, when controlled and when you understand the risk, you can say no.
But can you?
Totally.
You can?
Oh, totally.
Do you say no often?
No.
That's why I've still got a job.
Yeah, but there's other people that would be like, I feel uncomfortable with that, and they don't. It rearranges itself. But more often than not, it's like, do you feel? Yeah. Before the sentence is finished, it's like, yeah, cool. Like, where's the start line?
Yeah, is that how you approach acting? Like, you are going in it as hard as you possibly can because that's how you're going to get the best character out of it.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the way that I live my life as well. Like,
out of a suitcase.
Yeah. Well, Dad once said to me, he was like, you kind of live your life like right on the edge, right? And there was a great quote from somebody that was like, if you're not on the edge, you're taking up space. And I just like that. I like that because I won't be this age again. I won't have these opportunities again. I may as well go. Because you're never going to... I don't want to be sitting there kind of going, oh, what if? So I'd much rather throw everything I have into it.
And Peter Allen, so that was a pretty iconic role as well.
Yeah.
How was the singing, the dancing? There was a lot happening in that movie.
Yeah, and they weren't going to give the singing to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had somebody else lined up who'd been doing Peter for years. And then the audition, because what I'd done, I thought it was a smart move. But I'd never given him one of his hit songs. They'd always say... And here's the thing, like they didn't even want to audition me at the beginning. I sent in my own self-test of me singing one of his songs and then like me lip-syncing to a performance he did at the Opera House years and years ago, and sent that to my agent. My agent's like, well, I have to send that. So they did, and apparently that's what Sean Seat, our director, saw and went, I want that guy. And then it was the same thing of convincing people for months on end to be given the role, you know. But I never gave him one of his big hit songs. I just gave him all of his weird B-sides, like I Don't Go Shopping for Love and all these weird things. So when it got to the day of going, you have to sing, you can't not sing Rio. You have to do it. So, but you're downstairs in like a bakery, like 3 floors underneath where the audition room is, and you can hear everybody else doing it.
Oh, does that make you feel a little ill?
It makes you feel like so ill, but also like so because you're kind of going, I didn't hit that, I didn't hit that. But then you get up there and do the same thing. But you walk in, and there's like sequins on the floor. You're like, oh my god! Like, it was just really funny. It was just hilarious to just have imagined like 4 different versions of this Peter and what people were wearing. And
oh, you'd love to be the casting director.
You would love to be a fly on the wall and see all these. I mean, I'd love to see those tapes.
Oh, hilarious.
Even if I didn't get the role, just to be like, wow. Because it could have gone any way and anyway. So they weren't going to give me the singing. And I walked in and they're going, okay, so we're just going to do some dance rehearsals because the singing's taken, the songs are taken care of. Like, what do you mean? Like I've spent all my holidays learning all of his catalogue. So I sat for about a week convincing our like head of musical direction, who just did Jersey Boys with Clint Eastwood and writes the musics for the music.
It's a word, kind of.
Yeah, for the Academy Award segues. He writes the guy's amazing, and I sat there and had to convince him over the space of a week that I could sing all of Peter's songs.
Wow, that's serious.
Yeah, and then we had 3 days in the studio to sing them all before you'd even got to know the character and done all your kind of pre-production. So it was, and then, yeah, man, that show was huge. Tap dancing, like I'm not a dancer, but taught myself to tap dance in a shed with a metronome and like living with 6 guys at the time. I'm like, what are you doing in the shed, bro?
So good.
Yeah, so it was my second ever thing, and it was just running the gauntlet and learning on the job and being open to ideas and working with Rebecca Gibney and just being a sponge and being, I don't know, like humble enough to eat it when you do suck.
And Hugh Jackman as well, like following in his footsteps. Boy from Oz, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel the pressure or?
Yeah, but I couldn't. Like, you can't put that stuff on yourself and I didn't watch any of his things I haven't seen any of his performances of him doing Peter's stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's my version. And we're not telling a documentary, we're not telling a theatre version, we're telling a film version, like a TV version, so it's different. It's more personal. He's not as loud. You can afford those quiet moments of him by himself. Whereas on theatre by himself, it's like, oh, to be, like, it's huge. So you can, it's stripped back.
And the outfits were pretty epic.
Pretty amazing.
Did you feel so special? Was there any that you managed to swindle home?
Yeah, I've got a heap of his shirts.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's so cool.
Sequins and all?
No, just his like day wear when he was in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Like long kind of flowing shirts and stuff. Like I don't wear them out. Like
flares? No, that's more 70s.
Yeah, he had wicked jeans in the 70s. Like and a wicked wig. I didn't get to keep the wig. That was really cool.
We should all have a wig in our
We
lives.
should all have a bit of a wig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mystery Road, that is, you've just finished filming.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's kind of the next fun project that's going to be on the horizon for now.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are coming out, and all of them are doing really well behind the scenes, and it's frustrating because we can't talk about what they're doing and how well they're doing. But Mystery Road is the next TV project. That was up in Broome with Aaron Pedersen and Jada Alberts and Tasma Walton and Tazia Zallar and incredible actors.
And that's another role that you chase down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. Yeah. It's that thing of living on the edge. It's like if I can see something, I'm going to jump and try to land on it.
Yeah. So why did you chase this role?
It was really important to me. I'd finished doing the role that's in this picture. We'll maybe chat about that. But it was like I was down in Albany, which is where I was born and raised, and my heritage is Noongar. So it's one of the biggest language groups in Australia, in Indigenous language groups, and we're from the Taunderup people, which is a massive strip of national parkland. And every weekend I'd go for hikes or just kind of walking around there, and it really sunk in that we're really proud of our heritage, and my dad has been an Indigenous educator since before I was born, and has been made an honorary elder in areas where he's taught in communities and stuff, and it's really close to my heart. But in that discussion of what is Aboriginality, you can kind of get lost and kind of just be seen as a tall, white, Anglo-looking guy claiming it.
Here to save the world.
Yeah, 100%, and it's really confusing, and it's really, but I want to connect to that part of me and my heritage. So having done those things and just kind of talking to my dad about it a fair bit, I reached out to Bunya Productions, who Mystery Road, who are, the guys at, Top End. I don't know if they did Top End Wedding. They've done some amazing films, Satellite Boy, and Mad Bastards, and the film that Warwick Thornton took to Sweet Country with Sam Neill. Like those amazing films that are the forefront of letting Indigenous storytellers lead the way, and that's the way that I believe we should go. It's rather than like people talking, we should be listening. And so I reached out and asked if there was anything for me in the second series. I knew that it was going, and just to know I was a huge fan and I'd love to be involved. This is why. And then kind of like throw that smoke bomb and run away and be like, I hope I'm not an idiot. And that was at Christmas time. And then I get an email like February saying, that's really beautiful. That's so sincere. And thank you. It's, it's lovely that you want to be a part of it. And if there is, we'll let you know. And then there was. And so you get to go up and live in Broome for a while and shoot with these storytellers and go to these sacred areas. And it's really humbling that people in this industry can still work from a place of kind of authentic honor and authentic kind of empathy.
It's not all about the coin.
No, I was, and it definitely wasn't for me for that project. I was really humbled just to be there and to work with Aaron and be like, dude, you were like Cleo Bachelor of the Year in 1993.
People still claim that, don't they?
Totally. He was like, yeah, bro. No, he wasn't.
And you've been very busy playing around with guitars and singing.
Yeah, playing around with bits of wooden strings.
Yes.
Yeah, doing my things. But that, interestingly, has been something that I did before I was an actor. And it's taken me a long time. It was really hard after Peter to then just go and do your own stuff because people saw you as Peter whenever you sang. It's like, oh, that's that. Oh, cool. So I've been getting it back under my skin, and more often than not, it feels really good to be doing it live and to be having fun like that. So I've decided to step it back up and push out some original stuff.
Yeah, so EP.
Yeah. Done and dusted,
massive.
kind of engineering and doing the mastering now, and then we're going to push that out for end of the year and see what happens.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and it's really cool because it's a chance to be yourself.
Yeah.
More often than not, you're being a character that someone else wrote and you're serving that story, and it feels amazing, but it's really lovely and kind of nice to be a little bit selfish and share your voice with the world.
So you've got your guitar here.
I've got the gates. Oh my God, this is my guitar.
I know, exciting. We need some microphones in the house.
Okay. My broken heart's been awakened, baby. Now I don't get sleep, so take me back and bury me deep. Oh, with you above me. And blue eyes on black and white film. I captured you for myself, and now you're running in the dark. My heart in your hands, and I'm kneeling at the head of your bed, 'cause you know it gets cold. Sleeping at the bottom of the ocean of your love, it's like staring at the sun between the breaks and clouds. 'Cause now I've seen the Garden Eden. How can I keep on living if I'd break? Would you hold my pieces? 'Cause you took the apple from my eye.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Stop being so talented, Joel. It's painful. Well, I'm serenaded now. I'm good. I can die. I can go home. That was... Oh, what did you guys think?
Keep asking. I'm like, hi.
It was a
Dane.
good style. We'll start with good.
Your good's good.
Yeah, good is good.
Thanks, Dane.
I don't know how to describe your style. It's beautiful Sunday afternoon tunes.
Yeah, it's very much the point of my EP, I think, is that we had no click track, nothing was overproduced. It's all live. I really fought for that, and it's something that my producer and like engineer are like, dude, nothing is editable. I'm like, that's the point, is that it should just roll out like you're listening to a guy in a backyard sitting and singing, and there's some jumpier tracks, and it's kind of, I think about it like ballpark music meets Ziggy Alberts meets Julia Jacklin and Chris Stapleton.
Mixed bag, baby.
I mean, they're very, very good. But
you're very, very good too,
no,
Joel.
it's been a lot of fun. It's kind of like I want people to be able to listen to this when Christmas and summer rolls around on road trips.
Yeah, it feels like road trip tune Sunday in the pub.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's stunning. Now we've got some we've got some questions from your fans. Okay, we're going to start with Michael Melania. What would be your dream role and who would be your co-star?
Oh, wow. Okay, so dream role would be like doing a Western, so Western spaghetti kind of thing, with Michael Fassbender playing his son.
Yes. Wow, you've really thought about this.
Yeah, wait a minute. Wait, that just came out? No, definitely. Like that's, I think, like what was really nice about Mystery Road was we were shooting kind of where I'm from, and there's a lot of me that still hasn't kind of come out in the roles that I've been able to do. So I definitely want to play some grit. Cool. And and doing that. He's amazing.
Oh, he's so good, isn't he? Oh my God. The next one's from Penelope Pickle.
What's up, Ms. Pickle?
After filming in such extreme locations and circumstances, what is it like coming back to regular life? Yeah,
it's so true. I think that's why, as I was saying to you, I like to stay kind of flexible and on the run. It just keeps you feeling like you're still on the edge of your seat. It's really easy to get laconic and kind of laid back, and I think there's a certain energy and tenacity to great actors that they just have this looseness about them. So I try to do that in any way, shape or form that I can, whether it be big adventures, doing things that really scare you. But yeah, like sitting down and having like a Sunday lunch with everybody in white linen. It's not my picture of fun. So it's tough. I'd rather be in the middle of nowhere with people in like a really tough scenario, nutting something out.
How long's it been since you've had a lease at a house?
Oh man,
that long? Can't count on one
like
hand.
4.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Couch surfing, couch potato.
No, I live in nice rooms.
I live in nice rooms.
Everyone's like, how does he get there?
Okay, next is from Timothy Tomato. What inspired you to create the podcast, The Good Thief, and who's been your favourite interview to date?
Yeah, the podcast was really good fun. I needed a way to be able to chat to people that I was inspired by without them knowing that I was like, hey, how do you do that?
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan. How do you do that? And I wanted to stay inspired. And I think also it's really tough nowadays to find mentors. And that's a big part of professional development, whether it be like your heart, your mind, your body, whatever. It's hard to find those people just because of, I don't know, these things have made it really hard to just sit and chat. And we're all moving around a heap. So that's why I wanted to nail that down and then be able to share it with people.
Did you find that mentor?
Yeah, I found heaps.
Awesome.
And I'm still kind of on the run trying to, there's always new things that come up.
We could all do with a mentor, right?
Well, someone that like, I mean at the moment, someone that I'm reading and absolutely falling in love with is like Sally Rooney, who did Normal People and like great books. And even Alain, oh man, I can't pronounce his name. He wrote The Course of Love.
Anybody?
It's great. It's
Course
great.
of Love?
Little philosophical things that, like, if you read them, you can kind of begin to understand their character. I think someone like Malcolm Gladwell for your brain is a really good guy. Just kind of asks you to trust your instinct more and those things. But favourite guest on the podcast would have been Glendon Ivan, because we worked on Safe Harbour together. He was my director. But you don't get to know somebody that well until it's like, what's your favourite thing? And it turns out it's like Pink Floyd. And you go, oh, well, you know what I mean? Those pennies kind of drop and you see why someone does what they do, and that's beautiful.
And finally, we've got Steve. How do you balance your creative pursuits between singing and acting?
Same,
but different.
Same thing. To me, it's the thing of if there's a hole, I'll fill it. And because I used to be a landscaper, you know, like if it's unsafe. No, it's that thing of going, if there's going to be a break in the waves and I know it, I can plan ahead and chase something down. But that comes with me everywhere I go. And they're part and parcel. I'll always be playing a certain genre of song around a character or style of music that will influence me mentally and physically to kind of keep that coursing through your veins.
Awesome.
Yeah. Acting.
Joel, we are done for now. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
chatting.
having me.
It's been unreal. Follow Joel's massive ascension into the universe with lots of stuff coming out very shortly. So I can't wait to see everything.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.